They walked hand in hand through the gleaming lobby of a five-star hotel, the kind of place where chandeliers sparkled like constellations and polished marble whispered of luxury. He thought he was safe here, untouchable, hidden behind wealth and secrecy. With his mistress laughing softly beside him, he felt powerful. But then, the glass doors slid open, and the very last person he ever expected to see stepped in. His wife, not as a guest, not as a woman broken by betrayal, but as the brand new owner of the hotel. At that moment, time froze. Michael was a man everyone envied. At 42, he was successful in business, respected in social circles, and married to Grace, a woman of elegance, intelligence, and quiet strength. Together they had built what looked like the perfect life, a beautiful home, a teenage son thriving in school, and years of shared memories. But Michael had a weakness. His pride whispered that he deserved more. That loyalty was too small a cage for his ambitions. And when temptation appeared in the form of Vanessa, younger, bold, full of fire, he gave in. What began as just dinner became stolen afternoons, secret phone calls, and eventually lies woven so tightly he almost convinced himself they weren't lies at all. Grace wasn't blind. She noticed the late nights, the faint smell of perfume that wasn't hers, the way Michael's eyes lit up at his phone instead of at her. But she said nothing.
Not yet.
Because Grace was not a woman who reacted in haste. She was a woman who waited. Vanessa knew Michael was married, but she didn't care. In fact, part of her pride came from the fact that she could pull a man of his stature away from his home, even if only for a few hours. She liked the restaurants, the jewelry, the thrill of being chosen over his wife. But Michael, blinded by vanity, didn't realize that every secret meeting was laying bricks for a wall that would soon trap him. One Friday evening, he decided to impress Vanessa with something grander, a weekend escape at the city's most exclusive new five-star hotel. No one would recognize him there. No one would suspect. It would be their kingdom for 2 nights. As he walked through the grand entrance with Vanessa on his arm, he felt untouchable. He even allowed himself a smile. The twist of fate, the sliding glass doors hissed open behind him. He turned casually and froze. It was Grace. But she wasn't shocked. She wasn't broken. She wasn't even surprised. Grace walked in with a calm dignity, speaking briefly with the front desk manager who bowed his head respectfully. A leather folder was handed to her, and with a graceful nod, she handed it back. The staff, the very same staff who had just checked Michael into his room with Vanessa, now gathered around Grace with reverence. Then, Michael heard the words that shattered him. "Congratulations again, Mrs. Thompson, on your official takeover as the new owner of the hotel." Vanessa blinked in confusion. Michael's heart pounded in his chest. And Grace? She simply turned her gaze toward him, her eyes not angry, not screaming, but calm, deadly calm. That night, Michael couldn't enjoy the luxury suite. Vanessa tried to laugh it off, saying maybe it was just bad timing, but Michael knew better. Grace had known. She had planned. She had chosen this very moment, not to confront him in rage, but to let the truth hang in the air like a guillotine. Grace had inherited wealth from her late parents, but Michael had always assumed she was passive with it, uninterested in business. What he didn't realize was that while he was busy playing games with Vanessa, Grace had been quietly growing her empire. She had made investments, built partnerships, and ultimately purchased the very hotel where he tried to hide his betrayal. Michael's greatest sin wasn't just betrayal of love. It was underestimating the woman he vowed to love forever. Grace's strength. The days that followed were filled with silence at home. Michael tried to apologize, stumbling over words, begging for forgiveness, promising it would end with Vanessa. Grace listened. But she didn't cry. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. Instead, she said softly one evening, "Michael, do you know what hurt me the most? It wasn't that you found another woman attractive. It wasn't even the lies. It was that you thought I was too small to notice, too weak to matter, too blind to see you forgot who I was." Her voice was steady, but her eyes glistened. "I built a life beside you, not beneath you, and you threw it away for moments of vanity." Michael broke. For the first time in years, he saw Grace not as the woman waiting at home, but as the powerful, resilient soul she truly was. The challenge of forgiveness, their marriage teetered on the edge of collapse. Grace had every reason to leave. Friends advised her to walk away, to take the wealth she had grown and live freely, but Grace wrestled with her heart. She still loved Michael. Love doesn't vanish because of betrayal, but trust. Trust shatters like glass. Michael, too, faced his own challenge. Was his remorse genuine, or was he only afraid of losing the comfort of his life? Could he truly change, or would Vanessa, and others like her, always hold a dangerous allure? For months, the house was filled with difficult conversations, counseling sessions, and quiet dinners where words hung heavy in the air. Their son, sensing the tension, asked one night, "Mom, Dad, are we still a family?" And in that moment, both parents realized what was at stake was bigger than their pride. Resolution and redemption, Michael cut ties with Vanessa completely. Not just in words, but in action. He changed his number, sold the apartment he secretly rented, and devoted himself to rebuilding trust brick by brick. It was not easy. Sometimes Grace looked at him with doubt in her eyes. Sometimes she pulled away when he reached for her hand. But slowly, her heart began to soften. Grace, too, found her own strength in the process. She realized she didn't need Michael to define her worth. She was powerful on her own. The hotel was proof of that. Her life, her choices, her dignity, all hers. And in time, something unexpected happened. Their marriage, though scarred, grew deeper. Not because the betrayal was forgotten, but because it was faced head-on. Michael learned humility. Grace rediscovered her strength. And their son saw firsthand that forgiveness, though hard, is possible when love and growth walk hand in hand. In the end, Michael's greatest freeze wasn't in that hotel lobby when his wife walked in. His true freeze came when he realized that love is not something to take for granted. That betrayal is not just about sneaking away with someone else. It's about breaking the heart of the one who trusted you most. And Grace's strength teaches us all, never underestimate your own power. Never think you're too small to rise. Sometimes the sweetest victory is not revenge, but living so fully and strongly that others realize what they almost lost. And now I want to ask you, what would you do if you were Grace? Would you forgive, or would you walk away? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. If this story touched your heart, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more powerful real life stories right here on Be Kind Always. Remember, kindness is strength, and forgiveness is not weakness. It's courage. Stay inspired, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next story.